Warner Brothers is covering layoffs. Oh no. I didn't check what the title is on Twitch. Oh no. I should probably go do that now. TV/. I feel really bad for people who pop into the stream in the first like 30 seconds because it's just me figuring my life out, frankly. It's just me going, wow, I'm such a fuck up. I need to fucking stop. But I love everyone who shows up around this time. Let's see. I gotta change that. Actually, did Warner Brothers Discovery layoffs. I need to go pick someone up really quickly, so that's gonna be something. There's gonna be a quick stream. Hey, Sola. I'm just making sure I put everything out to all the places because I'm starting. I have to go pick someone up in like 20 minutes. That's why there's no thumbnail. I was gonna work on one, but I've been planning to pick someone up. That's probably them telling me when they're going to be arriving. So I'm going to turn my notifications off. We're going to have a 40-minute show, maybe 50 minutes max if we get lucky. Okay. All right. Got to get into my zone. We're going to talk about a few things today. It's going to be pretty fun. We're going to talk about layoffs. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about layoffs. We're going to talk about the preliminary part of my research into the German comic industry because I realize I have enough to talk about. That's quite interesting. We're going to talk about DC. We're going to talk about a comic company that's looking for the artist of its comic, which I think is a very funny story. We're going to talk about the Daily Mail and gay people. And we're going to talk about some New York Comic Con stuff that I've learned about. Not really that important, to be honest. It's just, oh, there's this company. They're more relevant. Let's talk a little bit about them. So that's today. That's all we're going to do today. There's no secret cop out. There's no joke. Howdy, Rock Lobster. Every time I see your name, I don't know Rock Lobster why. I think of some kind of Family Guy song. I think I'm thinking of Ciroc Lobster, which is a Family Guy song. Am I right? No, Iraq Lobster, which is a Family Guy song. Cool. Great to know that I'm not completely insane, but partially there. So I'm pretty close. Okay. All right. I'm going to do the start of the show and I'll probably do all the editing later. So if you're watching this early on enough, hi, thanks for being here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 15 of the Webcomics Hubcast. I have mislabeled the episode on Twitch, but I will relabel it correctly. Anyway, hi. Before we start the show today, I actually have one thing I want to recommend to the class. One thing I want to recommend to the class, to the friends, to the pals, to the buddies, to the good old gang, if you will. To the good old gang. I want to recommend a comic to you. I want to recommend a comic. I don't do that very often because very few things I see really get me, but this really got me. If I could get to the fucking front page, that'd be very useful. There's this comic I've started reading, and I just started reading. It's called Oh Cirillo. I know I'm not saying it right because I'm using my shitty American accent for it. I'm not American, and if you call me American, I'll cry. But anyway, I'm using but it's a comic called O Cirillo. I'm trying to go to the front page of the website. The website's really hard to navigate for me. There. It's a Portuguese comic written. It's a comic written, seemingly written originally in Portuguese. Portuguese. I do not speak any of it. But it's by an author who seems very in love with their work. And, you know, I love me some interesting shit. It looks to take place in space. I'm still reading. I'm still reading and catching up, but it's really cool. Let me show you. God, the comic was so good it almost killed me. The shots look incredible. The art's incredible. This is the beginning. They've gotten better over time, obviously. You should spend a little bit more time reading it. It's called O Cirillo. The website is cirillo.net. That's SARILHO.net. In fact, I'm going to show off. Do I have the creator's Twitter? Let Let me just go to it. There it is. Yeah. This is the Twitter account. This is their Twitter account. Oh my God. Ferris 40 Dongers. I'm a big fan. I recorded the audio, Ferris. It's going to get sent to you. Anyway, yeah, this comic. Go read it. This is the Twitter account at O_Cirillo. Go read it. It's by a Portuguese webcomic artist, I think, or maybe Brazilian. I'm not sure. No, Portugal. It says Portugal there. Anyway, yeah, go read it. They seem. I don't know about the person. The person might be absolutely fucking insane. I'm not gonna vouch for them or anything, but I am gonna vouch for their work. It looks pretty cool. It might get fucking insane later, though. I'm pretty early on, but I did like the look. I loved the look so much that I thought I'd do this, and I never do this. That's what the backdrop for today is, by the way. That's why today's backdrop on the main page is that's the last shot of the last episode. Anyway, on to industry news. Did you know today in the industry that there are conventions coming up? There are conventions coming up right now. There's Thought Bubble UK in Yorkshire. And there is, oh guys, I need to take this call. Give me a very quick moment. Sorry. Okay, back. Sorry. They ain't called Warner Brothers for nothing. I need to cut that out. There was just a sudden, sorry guys for going. I got a call, an emergency call. I thought it was really important. It was somebody asking me for my address. This is what I get for doing a live show when I could just record it like a normal person. But I don't have the patience to edit a podcast. Anyway, this podcast, there's conventions in the UK. There's Thought Bubble in Yorkshire. There's Comic Con in October. Comic Con is October in the MCM. I am not going to either of them. Fuck. I wanted to go to Thought Bubble the most because some of my favorite people are going to Thought Bubble. Shelley Bond is going to Thought Bubble. Freaking Zoe Thorgood is going to Thought Bubble. And I really wanted to meet them. I really wanted to ask them some questions if I could. Because I respect them very, very much. But no dice. No gun. I don't want to go to Yorkshire, if I'm honest. And fuck Comic-Con. Fuck Comic-Con. MCM Comic-Con is the worst. Like, I thought I was into it, and I went to it, and I've been a few times, and I need to be real, I hate it. I need to be real. I fucking hate it. And everyone knows that the real convention in the UK, the real comic convention in the UK is London Film and Comic-Con. That's the real convention. That's the real comic convention in London. Because every other convention is ass compared to that one. Because that one is like so real. MCM Comic-Con is so like monetized to fuck. It's not even fun anymore. Anyway, let's talk about Warner Brothers. Now that because I want to just get that out of the way. I want to bitch a little bit. Let's talk about Warner Brothers. Guys, you guys know that Warner Brothers Discovery is a company now. I don't remember who bought who. I think Warner Brothers bought Discovery. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. What matters is Warner Brothers Discovery is a company. And Warner Brothers Discovery is canceling and firing people all the time. So if you guys have heard of all the shows that have been canceled recently, and all the things that have been all the people that have been fired recently, that's from Warner Brothers Discovery. Now you guys might be asking me, why? Why are they doing that? Well, here's the thing. Post-merger, right? Warner Brothers Discovery got a new CEO whose name is David Zaslav. David Zaslav was told almost immediately upon taking his new role, he was told very specifically to make them to find $3 billion. Post-merger, find $3 billion. Basically, the merger was very unprofitable. That's more or less what I understand. The merger was supposed to make them more money, and then they both realized how much money they'd already been spending and how much in debt they were slowly getting into. Spending a lot of money. And Discovery especially. Discovery was burning money. crazy. So to make the investors happy, and for a lot of other complicated reasons, they needed to find $3 billion, right? They needed to find $3 billion. Like it's so fucking hard to find $3 billion. You know what I mean? So that's why they've been taking all those tax write-offs. Like I think on the Catwoman movie, they got like $90 million in a tax write-off or something like that, or $10 million. It was something in the millions of dollars for a tax write-off. And I want to tell you guys how little that is compared to even $1 billion. That is less than 1/100 of $1 billion. You need 100 stacks of that to get the money back. So that's why he's been firing people. They've been laying people off. They've been canceling shows, all that shit, just so they can make back those scraps of money to make $3 billion back. That's literally David's entire fucking job. Mind you, he's getting paid like $200 million. So fuck him. Fuck him regardless. Why doesn't he cut his salary for fuck's sake? Anyway, conversely to that, Warner Brothers Discovery owns DC. Who knew? I believe Warner Brothers owns DC Wholesale still. Let me just make sure of that. Warner Brothers owns DC. Yeah, they do. They own DC. They've owned DC since 1967. So cool. I was right. So they've owned DC for ages and ages and ages, right? Funny story, DC Universe, while during this entire period of layoffs, they have this app called DC Universe Infinite. And they have one called DC Universe Infinite Ultra. It's like a membership thing. And they're basically putting comics on there 30 days after print. So the print version comes out, 30 days later, digital version comes out. Now, while Warner Brothers Discovery is fucking the entire world over and taking as much money as they can from everyone, I do want us to remember that it is kind of a good thing that DC Universe Infinite is adopting the webcomic format, albeit in the same way Marvel Universe Ultimate or whatever it was called was doing so. And while the way is bad in a lot of ways, because it's not good, like the way they're gatekeeping it, the entry into it, because it costs money to read it, I believe. It costs quite a lot. I think it's a monthly subscription, but I don't remember how much it is. But like while they're adopting it in a very clunky way, it's good. It's overall good for us. In the face of all the layoffs and all the loss, it's nice to see, or I guess interesting to see, that there might be a little bit of gain for webcomic fans like you and I. Now, how much gain? I don't know. Do you like DC Comics? I kind of do, I guess. I read some. I read some DC Comics. You know, I'm a Green Lantern fan. But like, it's not really it's a big gain industry-wise, but it's not a big gain individually. Like each creator, like creators and viewers like us get nothing. But the industry gets more people playing in this space, and more people means that investors think that there's more money there. And that's good for us because it means that our companies will get bigger. Now, it's also bad for us because it means that our companies will also be run by more money-hungry people. And I don't think I've ever explained how money-hungry people are. Let me explain, like, the $3 billion thing and like this situation with DC trying to adopt digital, how it's going to bring more money in. These are all things that are coming about in a way that, like, while it seems kind of good, I should actually be more honest. It's, as I think about it more, I'm realizing it could also be very, very bad. Like, I don't know how much you guys know about Wall Street investors, but Wall Street investors aren't like investors in public companies aren't like you and I. Like, you and I would start a company and we'd run it forever and we try to make money long term. We look at long term goals. The company gaining profit, the company having a good reputation. Wall Street investors are literally like, I want to put in $60 now and get $100,000 tomorrow. Fuck you. Like, that's their logic, right? And nothing's ever typified it more for me than Dell. So the CEO of Dell, who's still been the CEO most of Dell's entire life, talked about when the company briefly went public before it went private. He talked about while it was public, it was crazy. Like, it was just constantly, like, everything he had to do was about profit. He couldn't do anything for the good of the company's, like, self-image because they didn't have time. Because if he didn't do the thing for the profit, the investors would start pulling out their money and then they would lose a ton of money. So he had to, like, the company had to just do things to make money. Like, fuck reputation, money. You know what I mean? because the investors will let you run the company to the ground as long as they keep making money. So I'm a little bit worried about what this new age of more money and more interest in the industry is going to bring for us, because it could be a situation of like more money in the industry, more money for us, but also more money in the industry, more fucking dickheads in our industry who might want to take us for a ride. So that's something I'm a little worried about. I'm kind of low on analysis today because I talked about capitalism a lot on this show and how it affects our industry and how much it drains the fucking soul out of me. And I don't want to make you guys more depressed than usual, but there's something to look forward to, something to be worried about, as always. Reminder to everyone that in the UK it is a Black History Month and Trans Awareness Month. I think somewhere else, but it's both. It's both. And I'm just putting this in the middle here to be like, hey, it's a good time. Be fucking cool and nice to your trans friends and your Black friends. I don't know why I have to say that, but for some reason, people are dickheads. I'm just putting it here, especially comic creators who don't understand how to deal with those people and topics. Anyway, yeah. So moving us forward. Guys, you ever lose contact with a friend? You ever lose contact with a friend for so long that you put out a comic issue to find him? This is a story from Rich Johnson of Bleeding Cool. And this is about the comic that's currently being published to try and find its artist, Mike Bannon. So there's a comic called what do you call it? To Be Announced, I believe, that was released by the publication About Comics. And they put out a new, I believe the comic is called About Comics, and the chapter is called To Be Announced. And they put out a new chapter of comic, which is the one that's called To Be Announced, because they've been looking for the artist of the series, Mike Bannon, who has gone missing, like completely gone missing. Nobody knows where he is. He went missing a decade ago. Nobody knows where he is. Everyone tried to reach out to him through all of their contacts. No one could fucking find him. So they're just looking for him by putting out the chapter in hopes that he sees it. And like, that's it. Yeah. Like they literally said, one of the people on that, I think his name is Nat Gertler. Nat was literally like, if Mike is out there and just doesn't want to talk to us, that's certainly his prerogative, and we respect that. But if something has happened to him, we want to know. And if he just doesn't realize that his old chums would like to be in touch, well, we'd certainly like to get that word to him. That's literally what this is about. They put out a chapter just to find a guy. And honestly, that's like where are those YouTube what do you call it, mukbang crime investigator people when you need them? Like I want the mukbang true crime people to get on this story right now. That's what I'm looking forward to. That's what I'm here for. Uh, you know, every day where there is not a single episode of some usually white woman eating food that she's going to immediately work off for the next 6 weeks, as she tells the story about how this man's probably dead. Is every day that a video like that doesn't exist is a day when we have lost something as a society. We have lost. We have not gained. Our lives are worse categorically. If you want to read the chapter, it's on the Bleeding Cool website right now. So I think most of the chapters on the Bleeding Cool website. So if you want to, I think most of the chapters on the Bleeding Cool website. So if you want to go see it and just like see what's up, see what's going on, now's a great time. Now's a great time to do so. It's a weird chapter to say the least. I read a little bit of it. I'm a little bit confused, but I also haven't been following this series, so no idea. Maybe that's just the vibe of the comedy. I don't know too much about this comic series, but I do know this story. I just thought it was quite fun. Two things. Let's talk about some sad things. This is the sad news section. Kim Jongi is dead, and that's just depressing. That's it. There's not much to say about him. He's dead, and that's sad. Kim Jongi was pretty cool. If you don't know Kim Jongi, he is an incredible artist who had the incredible ability of being able to draw anything from any perspective without sketching or without thinking, seemingly without thinking about it. It was pretty cool. I it's going to be a sad time in the artistic community. That's just unfortunate. In other news about another dead mangaka, dead Asian artist, it's the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! That shouldn't have said that so happily. I'm sorry. The creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! So you guys probably know this. The creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! Died. Kazuki Takanashi died a while ago, and nobody really knew why he died because he just kind of washed up on the shore and we were just like he drowned or whatever. Turns out he died trying to save some kid, and that's pretty fucking cool. I think it was a kid or a person. I'm not sure if it was a kid or an adult, but it was saving someone, and it was an adult. Yeah, it was an adult trying to save some adult, and he was saving someone, and that's pretty fucking cool, and that's makes his death even sadder. I feel really bad that I made a dumb joke when he died because I made it because I didn't know what to do, but frankly, yeah, no. Our industry takes a lot of hits. Like lately, our industry is taking a lot of hits in terms of people of relative importance and prominence dying. And that's time. That's what happens with time, right? Eventually, the people go. It's just a little bit sad that it's happening. But I hope that as we lose these people, these very important people, as an industry, as a group, as people, we will continue to move forward and try to be half as interesting and half as good as they were. That's at least that's what I believe that we should be doing. That's what I believe we should be doing. Anyway, I'm gonna move us on to gay people. To gay people and the Daily Mail. So there's a really funny thing that seems to have happened. Bleeding Cool, again, another Rich Johnston joint, if you will, has found out that they found the editorial notes for the Superman cancellation story. So if you guys don't remember this, earlier in the year, or was it? No, it was quite recently. Quite recent. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. The Daily Mail released an article that was called DC Comics Cancels Its Gay Superman Book Series at New York Comic Con after just 18 issues as sales fall flat. DC said the comic book series Superman, Son of Kal-El will end in December. The series, which came out in 2021, introduced the bisexual son of Clark Kent. It's the first issue sold 68,000, but most recently, sales have been less than 40,000 issues sold. DC has said that the bisexual Superman will live on in a new title to come out next year. So they said that, and they basically put it out as like the reason why the title's like that, obviously, is because they're trying to say the bisexual Superman is the reason why it's not doing well. There's a really big push from weird right-wingers, like right-wing institutions like the Daily Mail, to essentially brand the idea of like having a diverse cast of characters is a bad thing, and doing it will kill your media. Comics Gators say it. The Daily Mail says it. Lots of people in right-wing media say it. And I just got to be real with you. That's not true. Like, I read that comic. The reason it's not doing well is a combination of it's being kind of meh, and also the other part of people just aren't buying print anymore. Print comics cost money. $20, I think, is what some issues cost now. And that $20 can buy you food. Why would you spend it on this in the year of our Lord 2022, in the middle of the cost of living crisis? So yeah, no fucking shit, nobody is buying this shit. Like, it's not even doing that badly, just not doing up to expectation, and the cost is probably just a little bit too high for this comic. So like when they say it, it's really dumb. I think some of the stuff that you read in the editorial notes, by the way, the editorial notes were published in the article. They had to delete them out. But there was stuff like Superman is just one comic book character among many to have a reinvented persona in recent years, as well as Velma of Scooby-Doo and Dilbert. We need to say when it launched, what the premise is, and how much the sales were in total. This is just like editorial notes. But one of the ones that really got me was we also need to rehash how comics and other animation series have gone woke, i.e. how Velma was booted off video game, they're talking about multiverses, because she was branded a Karen for calling cops, etc. She's now a lesbian, by the way. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? How is Velma being a lesbian woke? Like, people are lesbians. It's not, whatever. It's and then they wrote a thing of what other heroes have been given the woke persona. Like it's so fucking weird. Like you can write the same story about this the same way they wrote it. They're gonna write a story the same way they wrote it about this problem while not addressing the core issue. Like I think the one that's been really interesting to me is yeah, the Bleeding Cool again. Yeah, they did it. Bleeding Cool wrote another article today where they talked about the cancellation of what'd you call it? The new Robin comic. And they were like, the straight Robin comic gets canceled. Like that's what they call it. DC canceled heterosexual Robin comic after 17 issues as sales fall flat. Like you can write the same fucking shit because DC canceled a lot of shit around the same time, which is what's funny to me. So it's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. Like I'm not, I don't know. I don't have a ton of time to sink here and like slowly break down the problem with talking about comics, pretending like comics that talk about diverse people are just like some kind of woke bullshit. And I hope I don't have to explain it to you. I hope I'm preaching to the choir. This is just one of those things that's going to fucking eat at me for weeks now. Anyway, yeah, that's all the news that's happened that you've probably missed. Woo! Anything of note. Everything else is noise, and I'm not going to waste your time on it. Now, let's talk about. Actually, no, there's one more thing. Just one more thing. Because the show today is very, very short already. So I'm just trying to pack stuff into it so you guys don't feel like I left you half cocked. There's this company called Rocket Ship Entertainment. They're going to be the subject of a future podcast, probably because of some things that they have done. But what is core and fundamental to them right now is they're currently working with Warren Ellis and a whole bunch of other creators to bring back some old, interesting entertainment and bring Warren Ellis back into comics. If you don't know who Warren Ellis is, that's totally cool. Warren Ellis is the creator of what's the comic creator again called? Fuck. He wrote for Castlevania. He wrote one of the Moon Knight volumes, but there's one really popular one he did that kind of like is the big thing that he did. God, I've completely forgotten. Am I getting old? I'm getting old. But Warren Ellis is pretty cool. He's an established comic book writer. He kind of left the industry after a scandal came out where he was like sleeping around the industry, and people didn't really like that. I'm still trying to remember that comic, but he's sleeping around the industry. People didn't like that. It made people very apprehensive about working with him. So he left the industry. He didn't want to deal with the bullshit. He didn't want to deal with people. But Rocket Ship is bringing him back. I don't really think too much of it. I don't really think anything bad of Warren anymore. I think what he did, I think the way he handled it the problem was a little bit poor, but it doesn't matter. It's not just Warren Ellis they're bringing back and helping to make more comics. They're bringing Dean Hashpiel, friend of mine. There's Leanne Kresick, who's Mongi, if you know her. Justin Jordan, John Bivens, Kevin Griveau, Madeline Rosca, Tom Ackle. God, I rolled my eyes so hard there. Former CEO, former head of content of Webtoon, and Ben Templesmith. Just a lot of people who have been in the traditional comics area are all working to bring out new comics. By the way, the reason I rolled my eyes at Tom Ackle is because Tom Ackle owns Rocket Ship. So Rocket Ship bringing back Tom Ackle is like, that meme of Obama putting an award on Obama's own neck. Like that's what that is. That's what this moment is. So yeah, not particularly the most interesting of these, but it's nice to see that more books are being printed. It means that it's still profitable to bring out physical releases. This news, along with the news of I Am the Grim Reaper being published by Viz Media, the physical version, is like one of the best things I've heard recently. I'm so glad to hear that more comics are being published. Like this is good. Like when in the middle of things I'm worried about, there's a sea of interesting and nice things that makes me hopeful for the future of our industry. Very, very hopeful. And the final thing before I close off today's show, in the next like 5 minutes or so, is that Clip Studio Paint version 2 is coming out very soon. Clip Studio Paint version 2 is going to be out in about what? How many days till it comes out? Or is it already out? In March of 2023. Yeah, March of 2023. And they bring to the new bunch of features and a whole new progression to getting version 2. For people who already own it, if you own Clip Studio for over a year or more, I believe, you basically can get access to the new stuff by paying $20 for Pro and $60 or so for X, just to upgrade directly to version 2. You get all the version 2 features. Um, if you bought it this year or in the past 6 months to a year or so, I think it's 6 months, you get automatically upgraded, which is great, which is awesome, because it means that if you bought it 6 months ago, and you don't just have to like fucking give up on your license. And the new update brings some kind of interesting things, I believe. It brings some new 3D tools, better 3D manipulation tools. Yeah, great, Rock Lobster. So your upgrade is going to be pretty quick. It brings better 3D manipulation tools. It brings a nice little hand poser tool, which is very niche, but I could see having some usage. Some more 3D models, a better text tool. All the Webtoon features are for scrolling comics, and a bunch of Webtoon features have been added. Sorry. An automatic shading tool has been added, which from what I'm seeing, most people won't use, but whatever. They finally brought in align and distribute tools, which is a little bit late, but sure, I guess. Sure, whatever. I'm actually kind of upset about that one. It's very fucking late. They've added more realistic brush blending. That you can now, much like in CS3, you can now use liquify on more than one layer at the same time. Wow. I'm sorry. It's just some of these things are a little bit like, what the fuck? But no, yeah, it looks like they've added a whole bunch of nice things. They've even added some filters for lens distortion. So overall, I'm quite looking forward to it, quite honestly. From what I understand, if you owned version 1 in the perpetual license, you can upgrade to version 2 perpetual license for $20 or $60. The update pass is only $10 a year for Pro and $30 a year for X, which I think is pretty good, actually. That's actually a really good payment plan. I think this is a good move. I think for Clip Studio, in terms of its continuous monetization and its constant feature creep, it having the money to hire more developers, it having money to move itself forward is going to be good. And no, very little can be said to convince me otherwise. Yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at with the stories. Look forward to future podcasts. I'm doing a bunch of investigations at once. I'm doing one investigation into German comics, which I need you to understand that the rabbit hole I'm going down is causing me some intense stress. What's the thing I was going to say earlier? I had like a funny phrase that I had said in German, but I'd forgotten what it was. But yeah, if you speak German, as in if you're a German person, please reach out. I'm reaching out to people that replied to my tweet on Twitter, and I'm going to be reaching out to more people. I need to understand what the scene is in your area. I want to understand what the comic industry is. I will also be emailing to professors. Hopefully we get a really nice intellectual conversation, maybe in a few weeks or so when I'm done researching, where we can just talk about comics in Germany and Europe in a wider way, which might not be the most interesting thing to everyone, but I thought it would be quite fun for us to do. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I'm sorry for today's really short show. I've just got a lot of personal responsibility going on, but I will hope to bring you a longer one next week when I'm done with one of my other investigations, and talk a little bit more about a company called Voice Me. Yeah, that's kind of the only bit of leak I can give you. I've been Nen, you've been awesome, and I'll see you guys next Saturday. No cancellations this time. Thank you. Goodbye. Also, I should say that to the creator that made me buy a fucking book to read called Comics as a Nexus of Cultures, why do you hate me, Pearl? Why?